All right, welcome back to a new episode of The Glue Guys. I'm Landon. That's my dad, Richard. And, I was thinking, I don't know if you've heard the intro song, but they use the same one for all the different episodes that the Field of 68 puts out. And I was thinking, we need to have you sing your version of Summertime and just go ahead and make that the intro.
We could absolutely do that. Here's two problems with that.
Okay.
Problem number one is that the Glue Guys does not have a big enough budget to pay me.
Oh, okay.
Problem number two is that we want to keep our viewers and listeners. So, you know what I mean? Like, so we got a problem here if you want me to start doing that. So.
All right. Well, maybe we hold off for now, but
maybe someday.
But speaking of viewers, I want to start this episode off by giving a shout out to those who have been listening. I've been getting some nice messages, some people on Twitter who have been reaching out saying that they're enjoying the show. We are now on episode 7 of this, and it's great to see it start growing a little bit. And we appreciate and welcome all of that. And any suggestions you guys always have. Or thoughts or comments, please feel free to let us know, because we are trying to improve this show and make it to your guys' liking. So I want to start off by just giving a thank you to those who have been listening and tuning in, and hopefully we get new viewers as we go.
Awesome. I'm happy that people are enjoying the content. One thing I will say is that I watched back some of it, and I understand you and I, because of our history and all that, we tend to be pretty centric with
this is a big man show at the end of the
big man show. And so, we have to give some shout outs to some of those other players, right? I mean, with Harris and Brown, and you could say the name of the other kid.
Ochai.
This team has got some really solid perimeter players, and the bigs wouldn't be able to do what they do if you didn't. All right. And so I'm really excited to start talking about some of them.
That because I wanted to start off today with the guards, because I know we always start off with the bigs, but then by the time the episode's over, we just spent an hour talking about bigs. And for those listening today, we will have Mitch Lightfoot as our guest. So we're going to be talking bigs with him anyway. So I want to start off with the guards, off with the game last night. There was another close one, another nail biter, 3-point game. Down at Oklahoma. They got the win, but I want to say shout out to the team in general, because to have your leading scorer, who's leading the conference, I believe, still in scoring, one of the top scorers in the nation, have 0 points a good chunk into the second half and still be in the game. That's a credit to, guys stepping up on the road in the Big 12. And then applaud him and Christian, because they both were maybe struggling early on, especially Ochai, and then to come in at the end of the game and hit the big shots that they did, testament to them and their mentality. And so I want to start this episode giving a little bit of credit to the guard and the team as a whole for stepping up.
Yeah, big shout out to them. And you're absolutely right when you say that, when you're used to being instantly in the game flow, scoring, getting buckets, especially as a shooter, and you go for really long stretches without seeing that ball go through the hoop, that could be tough. And sometimes, the old saying, you just want to see that ball go through the hoop. Even if you get fouled and go to the free throw line, you just want to see that action. And so to have them really still stay engaged, I mean, they were playing defense all the way to the very end. But still pull this out. That's a testament to them. But I think the thing that is probably the most rewarding about seeing this is that I think that this type of game and games that they've been in, these close games, especially in conference, is really going to help them down the stretch. Mm-hmm. It's really going to help them when they start getting into the NCAA tournament, and they will have had this experience. This battle-tested experience of being able to understand, time, possession, and late game tactics and things like that. And then think about the big shots that were hit. Harris the other day and Brown this day last night. I mean, these guys are hitting big shots at crucial times. and they're doing it now. And so they're going to be ready when the tournament comes. And I think these instances and things that are happening for them now are just getting them battle ready.
Well, staying on topic with the guards, Remy is coming back from injury. And I don't know how much you've heard, but I, hop on Twitter every now and then and see some tweets. And there were some rumors. There were some rumors going around about Remy and his status with the team, and that this is more than just an injury. And Coach Self just isn't saying that. And I don't know all the details, but the first thing that came to my mind was, does this sound like something that is even not possible, but likely with Coach Self in this situation? You know how much he wants to win and stuff. So I'm just asking you, just hearing the surface level stuff, do you think that there's any weight to this, or do you think this is just reporters trying to get, some retweets and some attention?
I think it's totally bogus. And the reason being is that let's just think about Coach Self and his history. Coach Self doesn't care about how many stars you have. Coach Self doesn't care about how many followers you have on anything. Coach Self just wants to win, and he wants to put the best team that he thinks on the court at the best time. And if there is a friction or whatever, Remy just doesn't play. He doesn't care if you leave, go. I don't think that he's going to make some backroom agreement or arrangement to pacify Remy when he's never pacified anybody else over the years. And we're talking about big time 5-star players that there could have been a lot of times when he could have said, hey, I got you, or okay, I'll make sure I start you, whatever. And those people were sitting on the bench for a whole game. So I don't think there's any legs to this. In this world of, the clickbait and all of that, to me, it seems like it's going in that direction.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, I think that winning is always going to come first. And so Coach Self is ultimately going to do what he feels is best for the team to win. If I've seen it work against some players where they're talented and they may be able to help, but they're hurting the team more than anything, and he will go away from them if that's the case. But I don't think that's the case here. And I am excited to see him get healthy and back into this lineup, because they could use that point guard spot, and that leadership and, the way he's able to control the game a little bit more, get set up. You see a few times where you can see them trying to run a play, and it's just the start of it messes the whole play up, because of, where it's starting, how it's starting and whatnot. And so I really want to see him get a part of this team and, get healthy over time. And hopefully he's able to do that. And all this is just, water under the bridge. So now that we got the guards out of the way, let's go ahead and move over to the big. That's all we're going to get for today.
Hey, that's a great first step, though, right?
It is. We spent a good little amount of time.
Okay,
but now we got to go to our bread and butter and talk about bigs a little bit. David McCormick, coming off the big game, had a monster game over the weekend, played fantastic, was going after every rebound, was scoring well, looked like the David McCormick that a lot of fans were expecting coming into the season.
Yes.
Just like he did against Oklahoma State. And then following that up, took a few steps back. I don't think it was all the way back to square one, but it wasn't at that high level again. So I'm asking you, from a player and from a coach, what is the key to staying consistent? And when you're trying to come out of slump and you have a big game, how do you follow that up and try to get some consistency moving forward?
So first of all, it was a monster game, and he was, like you said, flying all over the place. And I think what's going on with David, and I think the thing that he can do that would help, is when you have a big game like that, what tends to happen is that you start thinking that your poop don't stink, right? This is a family show, so I'm not going to use the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And you start, and again, we have to remember, he's still a young man. And I think what starts to happen is is it starts to creep in there a little bit about how he is this, how much he's important to this game, to this team, and we know that, and we know his importance to this team. And so then what happens is that very next game, he starts to force things a little bit, and when you start to force things, it doesn't work as well, right? And so my suggestion to him and to anybody in this kind of circumstance is let the game come to him. He's going to get, because of the way the offense is, he's going to get great position opportunities, which we're talking about that, high percentage opportunities. You don't have to overthink things. Just let the game happen. And yes, you may not have a 19 and 15 or whatever it was that he had again, but you can have still another solid game and be a contributor to this team if you just let the game come to you, and not try to overthink it and overdo it or force anything, because that, to me, that's the best way to kind of smooth this thing out.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that you saw that a little bit in the game that he did well, was he went out there and he was attacking the boards. He was doing all those other things, and it seemed like, there were a few more dunks that were coming his way. He was in the game to be able to get, a few of those drop-off dunks or alley-oops. It's not the end of the world if you do take a bad shot here or there, because you are doing those other things. And I think that you saw him thrive in that. And then the next game, as you said, one of the things I learned, especially during my time at Kansas early on, is don't read into everything, through the fans and all that stuff, because it's either going to be way over exaggerated one way in a negative way, or way over exaggerated the other way, and both are bad for you. There's not one good thing can come out of that. And so, ignore that, which I don't know if he is or not, but, ignore that. And then, as you said, let the game come to you. And one thing that stood out to me was they tried to go into him early at Oklahoma twice on the first possession. Where he was catching the ball was exactly where you don't want to catch.
Yes.
And that's not how you want to start the game. Even though he eventually got to a shot that, could have gone in, I don't want the first touch to him, if I'm a player or coach, being a few steps off the block where you're expecting him to start the game making some incredible move. Those easy buckets, if you're going to go inside of him, is where you want to start the game. And I wouldn't throw it to him if he's, off the block, just to try to reinforce that, hey, we're going to get it to you, but when you have a foot in the paint and when you can score, an easy basket.
Well, I can tell you too, is that later in the game, there were some times he had the guy right underneath the basket almost. The guy from, I always think of semi-pro when I see that player, but you know what I mean? And so you're absolutely right. And you remember all those years you and I would talk about the fact that as a defender of the post, you want your guy to catch the ball way off of the block like that, right? Yeah. You don't want him to bury you underneath. And so, yeah, if I'm the guards, I would basically let him go repost. Let that defender come out with you, and then basically, feign like you're giving up. Okay, all right, well, I guess you got me, defender. And then let that ball get swung around or something, and then I would dive right back into the paint and then get 2 feet in there and get to where I want to go. And I can tell you, just like you said, especially early on in the game, the first couple possessions, I want my angles to be the reason why I get a quick and easy bucket.
Yeah, and we'll finish with this and then move on to Mitch. But one thing that I do want to compliment him on is he had some incredible passes in the first half. I think he had 3 assists, and it was off of him looking opposite and finding some guys that it was beautiful to see as a big man, and exactly what you would hope for him, because if you are going to catch it off of there, he's still attracting some attention, because he just had 19 and 15 or whatever it was the game before. If you are going to catch out of position, it is best to start looking, and see, if they're collapsing, if any weak side help is coming. And he did that and hit some cutters that I love seeing. And so, hopefully he can continue off of that, because this team does need him, as we say, every episode. And that's a big part of it, is not being a black hole when you get inside and finding those open shooters and cutters. So now I would like to go ahead and move on to our guest for today, so we have some time with him, and bring on Mitch. There he is. Can you hear us, Mitch?
Yes, sir. Got you guys. What's going on?
What's up? What's up, man? You are the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who's been there almost as long as Perry Ellis. You know, you played with me. You know, you've probably been at Kansas half your life now, but we want to welcome you, the long 6-year tenure at Kansas, to the Glue guys, and welcome into the show.
I'm excited to be here. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Saw a lot of great guests already, so hopefully I can live up to the hype a little bit.
Yeah, well, I want to start off this by giving you a hand and applauding you on your performance last night, because early in the first half, it wasn't looking too good. You know, Ochai wasn't scoring much at all in the first half, and then they go on an 11-0 run. David takes a little bit of an ill-advised shot, and you come in off the bench, and that energy that you provided, the dunks you had, the rebounds you got, and then I have to bring up the steal that you had in the first half, which was a sight to see, where I think it was Wilson beat his man, got his step, and you know, just had the peace of mind to go ahead and just get in the way of the shot blocker and his man, and he had an easy layup. And you know, I think that not only kept, you know, Kansas around and you guys in the game that first half, but, you know, gave us a chance to stay in the game and ultimately win. And so I want to applaud you for that and say congrats on the tight win last night.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. It's crazy. I wonder who I learned that from. It's almost like I had a great big guy teaching me that stuff as a freshman. So no,
man, it's crazy that we played together, man. It's been a while since then.
It's been a minute, but hey, still putting that stuff to use, and it still works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So no, I was excited. We got the win last night. It was big. It's game, like, you know, this. It's games like that'll help you secure a league. You play crappy on the road and still find a way to win. Christian made huge shots late. Ochai turned it on in the last 3 minutes. I think he had 10 points in the last 3 minutes. Made a couple of huge shots. We scored on out of bounds under and side out of bounds, which is something I think Coach Self prides himself on and our team on. We're able to make a quick transition into playing defense after we scored those buckets, and that allowed us to win.
So Mitch, just so you know, it's so crazy the fact that you guys played together, because I know we've said that a few times now, but you know, I think of Landen's, you know, time there. It's been so long since then, but it's so great to still see you out there, and it's so great to see you doing the things that you do. We've already dubbed you as an honorary Glue guy because you do those things that help teams win. And so I guess my question then is has Coach Self ever come to you, you know, whether it's this year or previous years, and asked you to do anything different? You know what I mean? Did he ever say, hey, I want you to try this or try that? Or has he basically said, just keep doing you?
Hey, I think that's a great question. I think Coach Self has been very a proponent of me doing the little things, extra possessions, making sure our team has good, solid possessions, whether that comes from screening, sealing like we saw in the game last night, and running the plays to get our best guys shots. I think being a glue guy is something that I can pride myself on, and it takes a certain focus that I don't think people understand. Like, you go out there and you might not, some nights you might score 10, 12, 15 points, and other nights you might not score. But the scoring doesn't determine how good you play as a glue guy, because how good you play is determined on extra possessions, how you play on defense, how you rebound, how you seal your man, how you make sure your best guys get shots. So I think Coach Self's been a proponent of me continuing that role, and hopefully that allows us to win as many games as possible this year.
I love that answer. I got a two-part question for you. You've been at Kansas now 6 years, right?
Yep, 6 years.
So I want to know, what is the biggest change that you think you've seen, whether it's just in the program, the fans, the school, in those 6 years? And then the second part of that question is, what is the the thing that you are preaching most to the team that you have picked up or learned over that 6 years that you're trying to get this team to understand, or, you're trying to, give that knowledge onto this current team?
So first, when it comes to things that I think have changed, like I said before, I mean, the more things change, the more they really stay the same. Just you get to see Coach Self go out there, and he brings the same energy he did as my freshman year. That when you were around, stuff like that has been very similar. But at the same time, some of the defensive principles have changed a little bit when it comes to guard switching. And when you were here, we used to do a bunch of too big. We would switch 32 and fly switch. We don't really do a ton of that anymore. Being as we have a ton of guards out there. We'll have 4 guards on the court that can switch 4. So we do a lot of downing ball screens. We trap the post whenever one of our small guards gets isolated on them, whether that be Remy or Dewan. We won't really trap the post when it's Ochai, Christian, Jay Will. Those guys are 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", so they're big enough to hold their own down there. And as far as what I would say I've been preaching to this team, I would say it's been more of like a pride thing. Like, we have to take pride in where we're at. We have to take pride in each and every possession, each and every play, because each one of those plays is going to add up to a successful season or a not successful season. So we have to go out there and each little thing matters, whether that be boxing out correctly, whether that be knowing your scouting report just a little bit better to make sure your man doesn't get a basket or doesn't get a rebound, stuff like that. It's the little things that I've been trying to make sure our guys understand, and trying to help some of the younger guys, like you did with me, just teaching the little things that they might not think is significant, but at the end of the day, it makes all the difference between winning and losing.
So glad that you mentioned all that. And again, for being a glue guy, there are so many things that are not in the end box score, and that oftentimes gets overlooked. And so we kind of talked about that already. But I will say the things that are in the box score. Last night, you had a couple big dunks that were all set up. I mean, you went flying through in that one-handed dunks and all that. I mean, so my question is there was about I would say a little over 8 minutes or so left of the game, and you were in, and you guys were down by 5-6 points. And you get the ball and you score. Could you sense at that time that was a huge bucket for your team, because there were some empty possessions prior to that?
Yeah, no, I got out there. I think Dave blew his shoe out, and coach said, "Hey, we need get up, you're going." So checked in the game. We were on a little bit of a scoring drought. We had a couple possessions prior while I was in the game that we weren't able to get baskets. They were playing hard defense, and we had been missing shots. It wasn't like we weren't getting shots. We had got a couple good looks at the rim, just had missed them. It's ebbs and flows. It's how the game's going to go. I saw that the shot clock was kind of winding down. I think it was around like 8 seconds. I had their big guy on my back at about like 6-7 feet. Knew we needed a bucket. Easiest way to get a bucket to seal your man, and just jumped up there and shot that jump hook and was able to kind of get the lid off the hoop. And then from there, I think Jalen had that spin move to get a layup and to bring it back to 2 points. And then from there, we hit some shots, and Ochai started to heat up, and then Christian made that huge shot. So it was good to see the guys get back into that rhythm as of late. The final 4 minutes of the game were so important for us. They're so important for teams that are good as well. You see them going out there and executing in crunch time, making big shots off of plays, and also making shots for your teammates. So I think my hat's off to those guys. They really played their butts off and were able to get the win.
So you've seen a lot of teams over your 6 years. My question would be, how would you compare this team to some of those teams you've been on? You've been to a Final Four, Elite Eights, big, deep runs. Where do you see this team compared to those? And what do you see the ceiling for this team being as far as potential goes, and where you guys can get to this season?
I think there's a lot of similarities between your senior year team and this team when it comes to the experience we have. With you guys, we had Frank, you, Devontae, Spee, a bunch of older guys. I mean, Tyler himself, even a bunch of older guys that know what they're doing and know what it takes to win. So I think we have 7 seniors on this team. We have 3 or 4 4-year guys, 2 5-year or 5th-year guys, and then a 6-year guy and a 7th-year guy. So we got a lot of college basketball knowledge and a lot of understanding of what it takes to win at this level. I think that's something that both of those teams shared, and that's something that can impact the season. I think this team shoots the ball well. We can get out and transition really well. That all starts with defensive rebounding. If we can get the ball and push the ball up the court quick, we have the athletes to run in transition, to get dunks, to reward ourselves for playing defense. I think those are a lot of similarities that we share. I think this team's ceiling is hopefully a national championship with the way we play the game. I think Coach Self sees those spurts that we have that can be so deadly if we get all of us playing together on the same page, whether that be getting our bigs playing with our guards correctly, or getting our guards to play together correctly. I think we have the ability to hopefully go deep into the tournament. And if we make it to a Final Four, then who knows what can happen at that point.
Well, I can tell you, we talk a lot about bigs in this because this is what we know really well, but we've been really talking about the at least today. Also, we were talking about those guards, and you've got some unbelievable players that are out there. Do you ever in practice go up to them or talk to them and or vice versa? Do they come to you and say, hey, I could better get you the ball if you do X, or if you were to do this, or you go to them and say, hey, just throw the ball to the corner, I can go get it. Are those kind of conversations happening behind the scenes?
I would say, yeah, they're definitely happening. It's more of me trying to help them get easier and better shots. Understanding that, hey, if they're downing ball screens, just throw it back to the big guy and come off a more of a handoff than a screen. It doesn't allow them to down it. I do that with Ochai a lot. He's really great at playing out of that pinch post area. There's other things like the angles on the screens. If you saw last night, we ran a play and their guard went under on Ochai and he bumped and faded and hit a 3 to tie the game up. So there's a bunch of plays like that where it's scoring off of the second option of the play. It's like because we're in Big 12 play. I mean, Landon can attest to this. Teams are going to know your plays you're going to run. They're going to know your plays almost as well as we know them. So it's a matter of scoring off of how they guard it. If they go under the screen, you're going to bump fade. If they piggyback it, you're going to go for a lob. Like there's a bunch of different areas to score off our plays, and it's a matter of figuring out the second and third option. That are often determined by the effort of the defense and how the defense guards it.
Now, I want to ask you, one of the biggest changes that's happened since I've been there is this whole NIL. The rules changed with that, and you have been a big part of taking advantage of that. So I'm curious, what's that process like? What has it been like being able to now profit off of your name and likeness? And how do you see that moving forward for yourself, for other players? Because I'm curious, I don't even know what that's like. Do they approach you? Did you approach them? Tell us a little bit about what that whole process is like.
Name, image, and likeness it's been crazy. When I tell you, it was one night in July, we were working a Coach Self camp, and he's like, "Hey, we're having a meeting in the locker room afterwards." We went and met in the locker room. He's like, "Oh yeah, name, image, and likeness is happening." We're like, what does that mean? Like, we really didn't even know like what was getting ready to happen. And they educated us on it. We were all pretty excited about it, but also we're taking it with a grain of salt because you knew there's going to be rules behind it and stuff like that. But it's been a great experience for me so far. It's a little bit of, like you said, when it comes to reaching out to companies and then reaching out to you, there's a little bit of both. I think you're going to get out of it what you put into it. For me, I tried to do as much as I could in the off season to put myself in a good position. I don't want to be like worried about that stuff during the season because obviously my number one focus is basketball and winning games here for KU. But it's been a great experience. I've met a lot of cool people through it, and I've been able to educate some people on some great local businesses around Lawrence and around the Kansas City area. So it's been awesome. I've seen other players on our team and around the nation that have really been making money for themselves and their families, which is something that I'm excited about. And I think in the future, looking forward, you're going to start to see guys they're making big dollars, but also at the same time for good causes. There's people doing it for non-for-profit charities and stuff to that nature, which is inspiring to see.
So, Mitch, we all know about the basketball portion of it, and you've been doing this about as long as anybody could possibly do it with KU. But what's Mitch away from the court? What are your passions? I know Landen knows you, but I don't know you that well. I mean, I sat next to your parents a couple times, but I mean, like, what do you like when you're not playing basketball?
I consider myself to be a pretty down to earth guy. I like the outdoors. I listen to country music. I enjoy being around my family, my friends. I consider myself trying to be the best friend as I can possibly be to my friends and guys on the team. I really enjoy the Lawrence, Kansas area. I've enjoyed the Kansas City area. I think this place has given me so much, and I'm so thankful that I'm able to go out there on the court and give them a little bit of myself and help us win games.
Well, piggybacking off of that a little bit, one question I like to ask is, what are your thoughts on post-KU for basketball, what your plans are? And then I want to know, post-basketball in general, what are some stuff that you see yourself getting into that, and I know, you're the type of guy that's given that some thought. So I want to kind of get into your head and see, what your thought process is like post-KU and then post-basketball.
Post-KU, I want to continue to play basketball, whether that be overseas or wherever. I think this game has given me so much. It's within my best interest to continue playing it. When it comes to after basketball, I haven't quite decided on that yet. I don't know if I want to step fully away from basketball. You learn from Coach Self for 6 years, and you get some of that knowledge that a Hall of Famer is imparted upon all of his players. That I think it could be in my best interest to continue coaching. You kind of find yourself here once you get into being an upperclassman, kind of teaching the young guys and kind of helping coach them a little bit. So I think having done that, it's allowed me to kind of figure out a little bit of coaching. If it wasn't coaching, I have a bachelor's degree in economics with a master's in sports management. So I've got a couple different options in the business world. And as you know, KU has some of the best connections there are when it comes to business after college. So I'm excited to hear what the future holds, but at the same time, not really all too worried about it. I know God's got a plan, and I'm just trying to figure it out.
I can tell you, my high school coach gave me a set of phrase to me that I thought was fantastic. He said, "Use basketball, don't let basketball use you." And so that's something that it's always warms my heart when I hear, student athletes, talk about the degrees and how they were able to utilize their time, playing a great sport, but also getting that degree while there, so that the sky's the limit for you, which is awesome. I mean, it could be basketball, it could be coaching, it could be in the maybe you'll be in sports marketing. I mean, who knows where Mitch is going to end up when this is all said and done. But while you're there, and the fact that you've been there for a while, we've been asking several of our guests kind of what's their favorite game that they've been a part of. And it's fun because it kind of allows for a little bit of reminiscing, So can you think of a time, whether it was just you weren't a major contributor maybe, but the environment was awesome, or, hey, I went in and killed? I mean, like, for you personally, what was that number one game you'd say in your 6 years there?
There have been a bunch of them. I've really enjoyed playing in rivalry games. Those are kind of my favorite games to play in. It's really easy to get yourself psyched up for it. But shoot, I think my favorite game, this is going to really throw it back, and it was a game where Landen was there. It was when we played West Virginia and we were down 15 with 2.5 minutes left, and there's still nothing quite like that. That was insane to fight back like that, and we set the loudest indoor arena record that game. And
it was so perfect how you if you watch the game back, you see Dickie V talking about, I think he was doing the game, talking about the fans leaving, and you see the fans leaving out, and they're like, you see the one guy give the peace sign to his friend, like, all right, I'm out, and stuff. And then next thing you know, we come back and you see those same fans like running back in. That was hilarious to see to rewatch that. I mean, I am a little disappointed in the fans that did leave, but but I do remember that game, and that was just, it was so fun to be a part of a team that you almost still felt like, even down whatever it was, 15 with a few minutes left, like, okay, we still have a chance. Let's just go out there and do what we need to do. And the best part about it was West Virginia, by pressing the heck out of them, going on the, like, it was almost like they hadn't had somebody do that back to them, because the last few minutes of the game, we were completely in their head, and that was a fun one for sure.
I remember, I played like 9 minutes that game. But majority of them were at the end of the game, because I was in there. It was you at the front of the press, and I was up there towards the front of it, and we were trapping some guy in the corner. And we trapped him the first time and made him turn it over. And the second time, I think I ended up fouling or something. But just being out there during that press, and the amount of energy we had, the amount of energy the building had, like, there's no way that the building was going to let us lose. And certainly DT, the way he was hitting shots.
God, he was pulling up and stuff. That was fun. And then that was my first memory of the Hum song, when they played it on repeat over and over again, every time out. And then the crowd would get going. But yeah,
it's a tradition.
That was fun. That was definitely a fun game to be a part of. And
well, can I just tell you guys that that I loved the game at the end. I mean, the fact that you guys won. As a parent, it completely sucked. Okay, so
you probably turned the game off. You were like the fans that left. You were like, I'm done.
No, it wasn't that. It's just that, I mean, it's like, when you can't control anything, for you guys, when you can control something, it's fun. And I get that. I've been in big games and I get that. But when you're just a fan wanting so badly for you to win, especially when you guys started to come back, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, it was crazy, but in the end, you guys got it done.
It is funny how watching things back, you feel more nerves from an outside perspective than playing. I'm sure, Mitch, you know this. Like, when you're in the game, you're just in the game. You just got to execute what you have to do and everything. It's parents, or even now as a fan, I watch you guys and I get more nervous, towards the end of the games than when I was there. But I want to finish by asking you about this upcoming game. You guys are playing Kansas State. Kansas State, is it at Kansas State or at home?
Kansas State?
At Kansas State. So, that'll be fun. Hopefully they play the sandstorm and go crazy and all.
Oh, they will. They will.
I'm sure they will.
That
was hilarious. The one year that they had banned it,
yes,
and then they brought it. All of a sudden, they went on a little run. The crowd started getting into it, and then the person who does the music was like, let me just go ahead and sneak this in. And it was as loud as I have ever heard it there. And for me, it sounds like you like these kind of games too. I love, those environments and those rivalries. So, what are your thoughts going into this game, and what do you think is the most important thing that you guys are going to need to do to come out with the win?
No, Kansas State, they've been playing really well recently. They're coming off 2 wins in a row against ranked opponents. I think we got to go out there and we have to listen to our scouting report. Our coaches are going to have us prepared. They're going to have the scouting reports done, and we got to make sure we lock into them as closely as we can. Being at Kansas State, that environment's going to be it's going to be ruckus. There's going to be a lot of fans there, hopefully, and we can't let that distract us from our main goal of playing our best basketball and taking home a win.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, Mitch, I mean, we could talk to you about glue guy stuff all day, but I want to make sure that we let you go. But we would love to, maybe have you on later in the season or whatnot. But it's great to talk with you and catch up. And thank you for coming on today.
Hey, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
For sure. Have a good one.
Best of luck to you.
See you, my guys.
See ya.
Wow, what an honorary glue guy that is. His responses to things, the way he thinks about impacting the game is exactly the mindset that you have to have if you're a glue guy. The things he was talking about, the angles on the screens, it's really, really small things that you don't pay attention to. But as you know, and I know, all too well, those impact the game in massive ways that are important to the team. And I think last night, showed a lot of those things that in the ways he can impact the game by coming in after a 11-0 run and turning it around and then making a big bucket, as you said, in the second half. So it's nice to get to chat with him and talk to him a little bit.
Yeah, one of the things that he said that I think that solidified, just absolutely nailed him into the Glue Guy Hall of Fame with us, is the fact that he said, there are some times when you go into a game and you don't know if you're going to score 2 points, 4 points, maybe 16, 17, but you just never know. And it's not about that. It's about getting the ball and helping to get the ball into the hands of the guys that can help you, give you the best chance to win. And so I think every team needs someone like this who is unselfish like that. And I think that it's pretty rare to find that nowadays, because it's just, everything is about instant gratification, and I want to win, or I want to score because my boys down the street are scoring. And a guy as talented as Mitch could have gone. I think he's from Arizona. I mean, he could have gone to some of the local schools around there, or gone to another, D1 school, and probably been a scorer and all of that. But like he came to a blue blood organization and team, and have fit into these roles, and it's because of guys like you and Mitch, the reason why you guys can have that kind of success. So, I applaud him for having that mentality.
I mean, he was, I think he's from Gilbert, averaged I think when I saw he averaged 25 and 13 in high school. Was a top 100 4-star recruit and stuff. And he's now been there for 6 years and is still playing a role very, very well. Never shied away, never got frustrated from what, we've seen. He may have behind closed doors, but doesn't ever let that affect the way he's played. And I think that he is starting to realize, probably already has, but that will earn so much respect and love from this fan base that will carry him. And whatever, if he decides he wants to get into coaching, whatever he does, those fans will remember him and the effort and heart that he poured into the program, and it will, definitely come back around. So I'm glad we got to talk to him a little bit. I'm excited for this game coming up on Saturday. I think before we go on to the next topic, which I want to finish with one more thing, but I think you have an ad read today for the people.
Oh, I do.
So let's hear it from Bet Rivers.
Hold on. So what Bet Rivers is? Hold on, I should probably.
Geez, you're off to a bad start. Right? I thought I was bad at this.
Well, hold on. All right, so you have to give me a little more notice than that.
I know. The transition is bad, but go ahead.
You can't just on a dime like that. So, all right. So let me tell you guys about our partners over at Bet Rivers. If you haven't signed up yet with Bet Rivers, now is the time. They're giving away an offer of a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one play to turn your bonus into money. So just one time, and that $250 gets turned into money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. Be sure to get in to the action by going to betrivers.com. That is betrivers.com today. And by downloading the Bet Rivers app, you have to be, here's the disclaimer, you got to be at least 21 years of age, right? So if you're under 21, don't.
Ignore this.
If you have a gambling problem, and you really do have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So
that was pretty good. You might have to just take over from now on. I mean, because
as long as I had some notice, and I did it without my glasses too, so I couldn't see some of the words.
Impressive. Without the glasses. Well, one thing I want to ask you is, as we close the show, we can get off topic at the end, because if you're still listening, congrats. But are you watching the UFC this weekend? Do you know who it is?
This is the heavyweight one, right?
This is Francis versus Gane. And
yeah.
This is, for me, and I'm more of a hardcore fan than you are, but this is so fun because you got the scariest, baddest man on the planet against this heavyweight that is technically as sound as it gets, and it's going to be so fun. And I don't know, do you know Francis's story? I just learned this the other day watching something.
Nope.
He started in Nigeria. He was digging. His job was to dig holes or something like that. He was just digging through sand and stuff. Does not really work out that much. Just naturally is huge. Ended up fleeing from Nigeria. There were so many times where he wasn't going to make it out of there. Going to France, was homeless in France. And then ended up figuring out that MMA was something that he wanted to pursue. I think he went there trying to pursue it. And then a few years later is the heavyweight champion. And this is what I love about sports, is that you have stories like this that are just crazy. And now he's about to defend it against this guy that I think is going to unfortunately beat him unless he catches him. But it will be a fun one. And I would advise you to, I know you're kind of the, hey, only big fights, I'll tune in. This is a big fight that I would say you need to tune in for, because it will be a fun one.
All right. So is there a hype video for it?
Yes, I'll send it to you. I had one. I had one I saw the other day.
Yes, that's the line that I draw.
I had one I saw the other day, and I said, you know what? This will get him to watch this weekend, because it's good. As soon as we get off this call, I'll send it to you. There is a hype video. I know that you need the hype videos in order to get into the fight, and I'm with you on that. I understand.
It just means that it means something. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't do a hype video for something that doesn't matter. Like, ESPN is not doing a hype video when it's Utah State, against, for Colorado State at 11 p.m. Eastern. You know what I mean? Like, if they got a hype video out there, it means this thing's a big time deal. So I'll definitely tune in there. And I want to see the video.
Okay, I'll send you the video. All right, well, I think this was good. We actually, it's funny, the one episode I don't talk about, we're going to keep this short and not go long and stuff. We end up keeping it a pretty reasonable time, I think. Yeah, we did pretty well. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. Talking to Mitch was great. And I'm looking forward to the rivalry this weekend. And then next week, coming back with a new episode. So thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you next week.
Take care.